Karen Hill, owner of SYNERGI Salon, married to Kendall Hill.
My name is Kendall Hill, Kendall Lamont Hill.
My father was an entrepreneur, so he told me that I should work for myself. He owned a funeral home. And I will never forget the day he said, work for yourself, don't work for nobody else. And so from that point on, that's all I ever had in my head was to work for myself.
Born of Lewis and Catherine Hill, I was raised in a really, really, really good background. Both of my parents, they're still together and they're still here. In fact, spoiled, I guess I'm considered spoiled. I've always been, I guess, taken care of, given whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, which has not always been in my best interests.
My mother is the one who told me to do hair. She said she noticed I had a natural talent for it and a strong desire that I liked doing it. And she told me that I should pursue hair. So I decided to go to do hair while I was in high school. And I went and I got my license after a couple years of being in high school. So when I graduated, I had my license.
As time has went by, whatever happened, I knew I could always depend on my mom and my dad or any other family member to assist in helping me. I have been known to be a user, liar, manipulator, all of that. I'm just being honest.
Funny thing is, I just like doing hair, not just because I like doing hair, because I liked making people's lives easier. I like simplifying. I like the reaction people got when their hair made progress. Not only was I looking for them to be happy that day, but I was also happy that they just were happy with their hair. I just saw women's lives change because their hair wasn't a concern. But I always had a strong belief. I always believed that this was my calling and this is what God wanted me to do.
Honestly, I've been known a liar, a manipulator, a user. I would say whatever I had to say to get whatever I wanted, honestly, including with my parents. They figured it out a long time ago. I'm sure now that I think back on it, they figured it out. They just still wanted the best for me. And I realized, like, neither one of my parents did alcohol, drank alcohol, did drugs, gambled, just wasn't one of them kind of people. Church going, for real, because they made sure we went to church every Sunday, Bible school, and all of that. So I don't blame them.
I always felt that way. And I had a strong teaching anointing on me. I always like to help stylists because I just believe that the industry, like if you learn how to do hair properly, there was good money in it. And I always like to teach other stylists because I just, as Black women, we were single moms or unmarried. So this was and Black women were always talented at doing our own hair. But it was hard for women to maintain a job doing hair because it just didn't come with the structure or the benefits. I had the biggest idea, like, okay, if I just opened up a hair salon and be able to offer benefits and structure, then they can continue to do hair like I love to do hair and change many other women's lives.
I would do kind of whatever I wanted because I knew my parents had the means of getting me out of trouble or doing whatever they had to do. I never really had to face the consequences that a lot of other people had to face. And I learned that very, 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 very early on. So as I grew up, I remember getting in trouble to where I was like, okay, I'm not going to keep using them. I'm going to go to the military. I remember deciding after high school, I'm going to go to the military because I'm thinking that would get me on the right track.
I just never felt like, I just always felt like there should be more than one way to bring in money. And whenever I was teaching women how to do their own hair at home, I always had to send them to the store and buy something. And that way I was just like, well, you might as well just buy it for me. And that's how the product came into play. I set doing that out early, like 1994. And it took me a couple of times, quite a few times. I can say that in pursuit of doing my own thing, it has taken me at least 3 to 4 times.
After high school, I went to the military. And this is when I knew I always knew they was on my side. But when I went to the military, and I think that was during the first war, the first Bush war. And I remember the company that I was in was put on something. It's called DRF1, which means we would be the next ones to go off to war. So we had to pack all our things and be ready to be shipped off. And I spoke with my mom, and she bought me a ticket to come home. She bought me a ticket to leave, so I didn't have to go to war. And I didn't come home because we never had to actually leave and go to war.
The first time I quit, and I literally quit, was when my son was born. I set out to open up a salon. I opened up my own salon in 1994 called Usury Street. And it was in Bexley. And at that time, we were just doing relaxers and shampoos. And I hired all these girls the stylists that I hired at those days. Shout out to the stylists that worked with me in Usury from 1994 to 2000. Those stylists are still working, doing well, thriving. And I'm proud of who they have become as stylists because that's the way I set it out to be. I wanted them to be good stylists so that our city could look good. And I feel like for the little corner in my world, the people who come under me, I'm proud of who they are.
I went through the military for, I think, like 2.5 years. And then I got in an accident. And my knee got messed up. And they wanted to do a surgery. Well, the surgery they wanted to do was I can't remember what the surgery is called, but they wanted to take a piece of my hip and put it in my knee. Of course, my mom said, no, you're coming home.
I wanted something more for me. So 2000, I shut down my business and I had to restart. So that was my first, because I had a son and it was just too hard. I set out to give it another shot. I worked in a white salon because I had this whole thing of that white salons did it better, or so to speak. I worked there for some time and I got the experience that I needed. I went there because I had a lot of debt, a lot of IRS issues.
My first experience with drug abuse, well, in the military, everybody drinks because drinking is legal. And I guess that's what gets you through the military. So everybody pretty much drinks. So we all drank on the weekends. When it was time, we would drink on the weekends. And one day, no names provided, but somebody introduced me to something else. And it was another drug. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's try it. And I tried it and I loved it. And from then on, I was hooked. And I was like really, really, really hooked.
Mark 11:24 says, I tell you, you can pray for anything, and if you believe that you've received it, it will be yours. That's what the Bible. If you believe that you received it, it will be yours. So I read it, but it didn't hit here in the heart. So now I just know I'm going to hold him at his word. Because I think the word and God's promises is more than anything that it's more alive than real life. So I'm excited as you watch me rebuild my journey with my family, rebuild my journey with my business, and watch God do a miraculous thing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.